Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another Bungie Ride-Along. I am Deej from Bungie. Today we are in for a treat. We have a guided tour of the moon, which will be led by Sam Jones.
Hello.
Sam, tell everybody at home and on Twitch what you do at Bungie and why you're the man to show us around the moon.
Well, I'm the head of World Art PvE, and I was the destination owner for the moon for many years.
So you helped us plant our flag on the pocked surface of the moon, led a team that build all of the structures and all the environments that we've explored?
Absolutely, yes. And I thoroughly enjoyed all of it.
Awesome. As have the people who have been able to go there and shoot aliens in the face. And chief among them is our friend TerraMantis on Twitter and YouTube. You can see his Twitter handle in the crawl at the top of the screen. On the PlayStation Network, he's Steve Cyberface. Say hello to our viewer, Steve.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
So the reason why we wanted to have Steve along for the ride today is because he made a fascinating video. You can find it on Bungie.net or his own YouTube channel, where he delved quite literally deeply into the fiction on the moon and made a great video about Crota and the Guardians that battled him for survival. So we thought we'd bring him along for the ride, quite literally.
Went down into that pit.
It's an awesome video, Steve. I
was
really
vain
enjoyed
enough
it.
to believe we could defeat Crota.
Thank you. Thank you
But the
very much.
Hive
Put a lot of
caught
work
his
into
soul
it.
before we could destroy him,
But you know,
and
it's all
then there was
based
only
off of
death.
your guys' awesome work,
We
so
failed. You
kudos
cannot
to you.
destroy the soul
We do.
of Crota.
Well, you try.
We really try hard.
You try. I just find guys like Steve and introduce them to you. So as we descend down to the surface, we'll turn this whole thing over to Sam, and he's going to introduce us to the work that he's done. We'll show you around.
Okay. So, Scott, could you bring up Moon Earth, please? Cool. So,
We called it
the
a
initial
temple where we
concept that you
first
see
saw
there
Crota.
is a concept from
Go.
Mark Goldsworthy.
Find it.
And
make
it is
his
our original
grave.
picture postcard for the moon. And what it does is, this is a first visualization of what the ideas behind the moon could be. And we wanted to get as many themes as we could encapsulated by this one particular image. And you'll see in the image there's this large seismic plate cracking going on. There's the image of the Earth, obviously. There's the sun rays beating down. And there's a little moon base as well. So it kind of encapsulates all the main themes of the moon for us. Plus, in all of the picture postcards that we initially created, we really want to make sure that we captured the main themes of Destiny.
Yeah.
As well. So we got the themes of mystery and surprise.
Yeah.
And visual majesty as well. So that picture postcard was really good to start with, and then we mulled it over for quite a while, and we actually wanted to iterate on it and make a more complete version. So, Scott, if you can bring up Hive Moon, please. Awesome. So the Hive Moon picture there, also by Mark Goldsworthy, shows you the giant Hellmouth in the middle, and it shows you a tiny little moon base teetering on the edge. And this particular picture postcard was more useful for us because it had a really huge level of contrast. So you got the juxtaposition of the Hive Hellmouth of the alien presence with the human presence, and then you've also got all the contrast of light and shade.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you got the contrast of surface versus underworld
Six of
as well.
us went
So
down into that
this
pit.
particular
I was vain
postcard is
enough to
actually
believe
really
we
useful
could
for us to
defeat
have an
Crota.
immediate.
But the
jumping
Hive
point
caught
for
his
creating
soul
the moon.
before we could destroy him, and then there was only death.
I don't know if it's obvious as
We
well, but
failed.
we wanted to
You
instill
cannot
the theme of hope,
destroy
and
the
fear
soul
as well.
of
Yes.
Crota.
It's all part of the moon as well.
Now I know that we've talked to some of the other world artists on these ride-alongs, and in places like Venus or in places like Earth, there was this theme of nature ascendant over humanity.
Oh yes.
The thing is, the moon isn't really home to nature. There's no jungle that's there to overgrow. There's no weeds to kind of crop back in. So if we can come back to the game audio, the game visual, and we actually got kicked out of orbit.
Hey.
So you got to love live TV and an always connected game. But The moon is a far more barren environment.
Yes.
There are no weeds, there are no
Absolutely.
jungles. So did that change your considerations?
Absolutely. So initially, when we took on the project of the moon, we were concerned about, wow, this could really just be a very barren, arid landscape without much interest. So we
Yeah.
were very careful to sprinkle as much colour, detail, and obviously human points of interest to it. So if you look closely at the moon terrain, you can see it's not actually grey. There's elements of blue, and purple,
Yeah.
and other colours. So we wanted to immediately get away from just the grey monotone aspect.
Yeah.
You'll also notice if you look into the distance, it's not immediately obvious, but the moon has a slight atmosphere in our game. Obviously, in real life, the moon is just completely atmosphere-less.
Yes.
And we really need an atmosphere in a video game to give you depth, but it also adds to the whole mood of the piece as well. So that was really useful. I want to talk a little bit about the accelerator building that you see up here. Scott, can you put in accelerator painting? So this is the initial shot of the accelerator that we first came up with. So obviously the accelerator does many things for us. It's a giant point of reference for all of the moon, so you can locate yourself quite easily when you're driving around on your Sparrow. It's also meant to talk about hope as well. So, in the Golden Age, humanity came to the moon and they had this really quite cool space-agey giant gun machine.
Yeah.
Which, it's sleek and futuristic, and it has those themes of, future advancement.
Are we looking back at the game now, Scott, or are we still on concept art? Okay.
Excellent.
So here it is in game.
So some of the things about the accelerator are as well. If you can just go, Scott, to accelerator update, please. It's another concept. It speaks to the overall themes of Destiny about the Golden Age and the collapse. It's actually probably a really good encapsulation of that in just one particular model, which is really cool. You can also see nature ascendant over man, which is what Dee's just talked about. So the moon version of that is basically regolith. So regolith is the moon dust you see strewn all around. This consumes all of the structures that you see. So if you go inside the accelerator, for instance, there's this regolith piled up. It's kind of this, much like sand. It just covers up the buildings and adds to the feeling of abandonment and reclamation as well. Nature reclaiming. Wow. They're gonna kill me, these guys are gonna kill me. So, the concept, second concept of the accelerator, which was made by Dorje, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Another thing about the human presence and the accelerator is that we really wanted to get relatable content up front as soon as possible, particularly on the moon, especially to juxtapose it with the very weird, exotic alien content that you would see later.
Sure.
So it's a really good
Yeah.
exposition.
Yeah.
Another thing about the accelerator, which is not immediately obvious, but if you see the Earth up there.
Yep.
Around here.
Sure.
The Earth is really important on the moon because it obviously, relates us to the wider story of Destiny, but also very functionally, it's a giant swath of colour, which we desperately need.
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
featureless planet.
Even if everything here is blue.
Yeah. And then you've got, obviously, the accelerator provides more colour as well. It's got the colour panels, it's got the insignia, it's got, the lights. So, as much as possible, we're trying to colorise what would otherwise be a very dead and grey
Sure.
planet.
Every single one of these we do, we end up talking about Joe Cross.
Joe Cross is a particularly amazing graphic artist.
Yeah.
So he's the guy who came up with all the graphic insignia for everything you see here. So mainly you're going to have two swaths of content displayed for the insignia. So Scott, if you can bring up the fallen graffiti. Thank you very much. Joe Cross did this, obviously. The really cool thing about the fallen graffiti is it gives a sense of detail, it gives us a sense of place, it talks about the alien presence and the aliens taking over the structure. Again, it adds colour, and it really sells the context.
Sure. We go back to game, Scott, because here are the fallen glyphs. Fallen, like literally gangsters from outer space or pirates. They go around putting their tag in everything they find.
Skirmishing, looting, and spraying.
Yeah,
at the same
exactly,
time.
exactly.
They're busy people.
But also, he designed the iconography for this Chinese base.
He really did, yeah. So if we just go over to one of these moon huts, I think Dave's got it on his screen now.
Yep.
Scott, if you can pull up the First Light logo, please. Thank you. So again, Joe Cross exploring various designs for how the logos would work throughout the surface of the moon. It's not just the accelerator, but if you go to the moon base area,
yeah,
they're present there also. I think what is really strong about these is that they're very simple. They're not in any way complex. They add nice swaths of colour, and they're very bold as well. And they just add another layer of detail and storytelling. So what we tried to do as much as possible on the moon and all the other destinations in Destiny is we try and tell stories through the environment as much as we can. So the player can look at things and study them, and there'll be that innate sense of mystery that I keep talking about, but it's very important.
And also, hope was interesting because, you know, this game is, by its nature, post-apocalyptic. You know, we talk about the collapse, we talk about, you know, a shattered civilization. And Steve, I know we had a fire team crash at the beginning of the show, but you're with us again now, yes? Okay, good.
I am here.
There you are. So
I'm listening.
in your video about Crota, you talked a lot about the fact that conquering the moon was mankind's greatest triumph, and also in your interview on Bungie.net, you had some interesting points about the fact that, you know, we used to look up to the moon and wonder what was up there, and then eventually we got to go there ourselves and create a foothold. And I think that's, you know, the interesting point about hope that Sam is making, is that, you know, we can, even though we can see that all of this stuff is smashed and laid to waste, the idea that our civilization could achieve these goals, to come up here and build these things, you know, is something that we can hope can still happen, even if we have to go up there and fight for it someday.
Yeah, the story of the moon is one of the best aspects, I thought, of just, you know, looking at it as one of our greatest achievements, and the way we, you know, made it something special, and then Crota took it away. It was just a good juxtaposition of that. I really liked that aspect of the story.
So what, you know, this thing is an accelerator. What does it accelerate? Like, what's the idea here?
So the idea was that this would be, as you said, a stepping stone from the Earth, and this would be pointing out further into the solar system, to the outer planets.
Yeah.
And it basically convey goods at a far greater rate than other means. So it was meant to be this very easy, automatic transit system, really, for goods.
So you're talking about, we put goods here, and we literally, like a giant catapult, we just fling it into space?
That's right. Fling them out into the far reaches of the outer solar system.
That's cool.
There were, you know, some people, letters, mail, you know, handbags, whatever.
Handbags. So this is interplanetary FedEx here.
That's right.
For future online shopping?
That's right.
Fantastic. Kind of like the Amazon drone system that's about to come online?
Absolutely.
Amazon drone systems confirmed. So what are we moving along to next? What do you want to show us next?
So we're going to have a look at these moon crawlers here.
Okay.
Scott, do you want to bring up the concept? Thank you. So the moon crawler concept was created by Dorje Belbrook. Dorje, that very talented gentleman that we all love.
Yes.
This particular version, the initial version, was obviously much larger. Was really, really cool. And we're all super inspired by this, and we desperately wanted to get this in the game.
Yeah.
Problem was, as you can see, it's very, very big.
Yeah.
Quite difficult to actually find good real estate for it in the actual environment.
Yeah.
So we made a smaller version.
Okay.
To capture the spirit of that particular piece.
And here they are in game.
And there they are. I really like these. These give you a lot of context. They kind of imply that the people who were here were roving about, and then the disaster befell exactly as they were, you know, in transit. So it creates this feeling of a moment just captured in time. I really like that. Also gives, you know, further context to the moon base, and it talks about, you know, them actually going from one settlement to another as well. You got a little crane there. You know, that's very utilitarian. Obviously, the inspiration for this came from films such as Moon.
Yes. Yeah.
Surprisingly enough.
With Sam Rockwell. Yeah.
Which is a really, really amazing film. I love that film.
Yeah.
And also from Final Fantasy as well.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Well,
The funny thing about you mentioned the movie Moon. In that movie, they were mining helium.
That's right.
And then here on our version of the Moon in Destiny, obviously people come here in search of helium filaments.
There you go.
Which I think it's interesting how there are certain science fiction chestnuts, and when we were talking to Blake Lowe about Venus, we were talking about sulfuric lava flows, and blue lava and things like that. So,
Yep.
Is that another situation in which actual science informs your process? Like we do know that the Moon could be a great source for helium and rich minerals, right?
Yeah. An early version of the Moon, and also other destinations, did explore some mining aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But we quickly dropped that because we wanted to have it be more like connected, throughout the rest of the solar system. So we made it into more like goods transport.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, mining was definitely in our minds as we originally made this destination. And
So where are we headed next?
well, I want to take us through this kind of more secrety, hidden way.
Okay.
So I want to speak a little bit about the connection between the surface and the underworld.
Okay.
I keep talking
Let's
about
fight our way through here. We'll save the conversation for nice, quiet areas.
Darren, could you pick up the Wisdom entrance long view, please? Thanks very much. So you can see here, Darren Bacon made this really cool concept, and it shows you the back door, as it were, into the Hive complex, and it shows you the broken human colony outpost building here. And what it does is it creates this connection between surface and underworld, and very blatantly it talks about mystery. It's this kind of glowing doorway that really is very alluring. It's like, wow, what is down there?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Really good kind of question mark in itself.
Beckons and invites to danger, and here it is in game, of course.
And it's very heavily laden with atmosphere, and it starts to talk a little bit about the Hive and their presence on the Moon. What it doesn't do is it doesn't announce it in a giant fanfare, which it does elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we really wanted to very heavily bang people over the head with the whole dungeon concept on the Moon, because really, apart from the surface, the Moon is one giant dungeon in a very classic sense. So much so that there are very overt themes of castle structures. So there's actually a place called the Gatehouse. When we were developing this particular destination in development, we have things like we call it the Barbican, we call the Keep, we call them the Citadel. So very, very heavily castle themed. So we've dropped some of those since, and we've used different names. But you can still, when you're preambulating around the interior of the Moon, you can still get that real overt feeling of a classic dungeon, kind of like a castle.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of medieval themes to the way the Hive caste was created too. You have knights, you have warrior castes, acolytes, indeed. Yep.
Absolutely.
There's the fiction man. He speaks.
There he is. Okay. So we're going to go down to the Hall of Wisdom.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm right there. Hello.
I get really nervous down here in the dark. I don't.
It's scary stuff.
Yeah, I want you to stay close to me.
It's scary stuff. Yeah. So down in the Hall of Wisdom, ironically enough, the development name was called Wisdom.
Yes. Okay.
Not too far removed. I don't know if it's that obvious, but if you play the Moon and you go down into the Hive underworld, you'll notice that there are two distinct wings.
Okay. Hang on. Clear the area. We're not going to be able to hear you if we're fighting. These are problems they don't have in museums. When they get to give a tour in the museum, they don't have to kill people before they can proceed.
Clear the residence. Yeah.
They also don't use Nova bombs in museums because, priceless artifacts.
Scott, do you want to bring up Over Wisdom?
Over Wisdom? Cool.
Over Wisdom. So, this is another really awesome, inspiring piece of concept art by Darren Bacon. What we wanted to do with Wisdom was basically talk about the home of the wizards, right? So this is more about where the wizards live and operate. It's more magical, more ethereal. And the overall shape of the room, the contents of the room, the kind of magic, weird, black swirling smoke.
And then back to game, please. Thank you.
All of that is about the wizardry kind of aspect. So on the other wing, which we'll visit later, there's an area called the World's Grave in game.
Yes.
In development, we call it Strength.
Okay.
And Strength was to be the home of the knights.
Okay.
So if you notice in Strength, or the World's End, World's Grave, it looks like a Colosseum.
Oh, okay.
And it's meant to, have these aspects of, gladiatorial combat.
Okay.
Whereas, obviously, Wisdom doesn't. So we're trying to create that balance.
Sure.
Quite subtle, obviously, very subtle indeed. But
yeah. But the mood here
there.
is a little bit more grandiose. I mean, this almost feels like a chandelier.
Yeah.
It's glowing with some sort of divine energy. So it's, I can definitely see how this is more about knowledge and learning instead of just brute force.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, in fact, also not obvious is these rooms began as the exact same geometry as well a long, long time ago. And we wanted to make them as economic as possible. And I feel like they have certain similar characteristics still.
Let's pave the road.
Let's do it. Let's kill these guys. Ow. Ouch.
Guardian down.
Oh, God. You know what? This is another problem they don't have at museums. Dead tour guides. What do we do now? You back?
I'm back.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
back. See,
I'm
there
back.
you go.
Don't worry. So the point of having wizards and knights in two distinct wings was that the point of the High Fortress is to be like a troop generation ground.
Okay.
To supply the army that would attack the Earth. And you'll see more business end points of that.
Yep. Watch out. Watch. Oh, there you go. Look at that Titan bubble. Thank God. Thank God. Look at that. Like dangerous, luminous minnows. I'll take your orbs. All right, let's move along.
Hide.
Or maybe I'll just keep up.
Okay. Hello. So we're going to go to the Circle of Bones, as it's called in game.
Okay.
And rather inspiringly, in development we called it Lower Citadel.
Lower Citadel. Okay.
Lower Citadel, that's right.
So we're in the Citadel now.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a nice giant hive barge there.
Yep.
If you can look through the fog, yeah, if you just cast your eye over that central building there, that's the Citadel.
Okay.
And it's actually comprised of the spine of the Hive Fortress. So in that Citadel, there are distinct rooms with distinct flavors, and they're all about the command aspect of the overall base. And you can see here there's this little kind of mine cart kind of style system. This transports useful resources for the army operation around the base.
I've looked at these 1,000 times, and I actually never noticed that there are in fact.
Me neither.
Yep.
I've seen them 100 times.
Yep. And sure enough, they're all on tracks. This could be the end of an Indiana Jones movie right here.
So on the moon as well, we're always very conscious that we wanted to tell a story, and we wanted to do environment storytelling. We wanted to give context to areas, but at the same time, we wanted to be as ambiguous as possible. So we could, have that kind of innate mystery to everything. And also,
Wasn't
so we
that
could add on to it.
really important aspect of interactive storytelling like video gaming is ambiguity and having like diegetic storytelling, sort of like letting the environment unfold itself and tell parts of the story that you never have to tell yourself.
And letting the player also make up the story for themselves. I think it's very important.
Yeah, or letting the player discover the story. Let the game environment be the storyteller instead of somebody saying, and then so it was that the Hive built themselves a citadel. But it's like you come in here and it's like, you've seen people play this game and they said, oh my God, what is at the end of that chain? And then when you finally see Fogoth, the realization kicks in. It's like, holy crap, that's what was on the end of that chain. Look at him.
So this room here...
Yeah, the first time I saw these chains, I was like, man, those are badass.
They're pretty cool, aren't they? We love these chains.
Yeah, I loved them.
this particular room here, this is a stack of 3, so this is the bottom part of that, and there's a middle room, there's the top room, and in the top room you'll see that the chain actually goes all the way through. So it's a very magic chain because it disappears and reappears. And this particular room was meant to be like a command room originally.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring up the Hive Citadel command, please? So you can see there, this is another image by Darren Bacon. Very, very cool. There's obviously there's the very circular nature of it, and it has all these consoles in it, which we have since taken out because it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously you have memory constraints we have to deal with.
Okay.
But the theme of that particular room still carries through, and you can see these little coffins, these little caskets. Who was in there? Who knows?
So, Scott, are we looking back in game now? Cool. Yeah, so actually I love seeing this concept art because a lot of times, you know, you'll see concept art and it's a very basic idea, it's a very rough sketch, and then what you end up with is, you know, obviously there have been so many different new ideas that came into being, but really the concept artists and the world artists at Bungie have worked together pretty impressively in lockstep.
Very closely.
You guys have been very true to some of their original visions. It's obvious that a lot of those original visions were created with you guys in tandem, which is really interesting to me, that it's not just about sort of pie in the sky thinking somebody has a sketchbook and then other people say, okay, I'll go do my, you know, I'll go now explore my vision based on that. You know, you guys are really sort of designing together.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some super
I've
talented.
watched a couple of these
artists.
ride-alongs now, and I'm quite amazed at how, you know, they call, what do you guys call them, postcard images?
Picture
I'm
postcards,
amazed
yeah.
at how some of them look exactly like the first time I saw that space as a player, you know, in game, and it's kind of amazing to me, at least.
I'm glad we were successful.
Yeah, I would say so. Even before the launch of the game, I was really excited to share out that concept art simply because that was really kind of the first visions we give people of the world of Destiny. And a lot of people would say, oh, well, you know, concept art is an easy thing to make, but let's see how the game looks. And I knew that, you know, under the hood we had this stuff coming together, you know, and it was like, yep, go ahead. Please say that.
So, Scott, can you bring up Hive Citadel, please? Thank you. So, yeah, yet another picture by Darren Bacon. You can see the very, you know, signature kind of circular cylindrical building there. When we first made the Hellmouth, which is the giant circular structure that surrounds us in this particular area, the problem with the circle is it doesn't really have a direction or an edge or like a point of particular focus.
Yeah.
So we needed to make sure that in the actual geometry itself, we had to have these points of note that would be very obvious reference points on the circle. So you have this large cylindrical building, which is Citadel.
Yep.
And as I said, that houses all the command structures and so on, but it also ties together all of the fortress.
Sure. So if this is a castle, and a castle has a main wall that surrounds it, every castle has the main spire, sort of the main tower.
Yeah.
So that the king can come and throw people out of the window at the top of it.
That's absolutely true.
Oh, so you left, dude? I told you, please keep me close.
Hello.
Please keep. There you go. All right. Look. See. Look. There's just wizards flying around here.
Oh dear.
And I'm being the camera guy, completely unawares. Here you go. That's for everyone at home that says that I miss all my Nova bombs. I read your comments, Twitch. And they hurt. Don't think they don't hurt.
So we're going to continue through the
okay.
Circle of bones.
Well, now we're leaving Steve behind. Steve!
Steve, come
on.
Steve!
What?
Come on!
Shooting things.
Come on!
Is that what you're supposed to do?
I'm actually suddenly reminded of one of my favorite comedians, Eddie Izzard, who jokes around about the stupid lies you tell when you were growing up. It was like, did you do that? And it's like, no, I didn't do it. I had nothing to do with it. I was on the moon with Steve, and here he is.
There he is.
And where am I? I'm on the moon with Steve. You look that up. Eddie Izzard's brilliant. Anyway, I digress.
He's a funny guy.
He is a funny guy, and a fabulous dresser.
Certainly is.
Definitely a warlock at heart.
So we are coming up now, and we're going to transition to another area.
Okay.
One thing that was very important for us to do on the moon, as a kind of challenge and as an answer to a challenge, was to create space, extra space. So if you look over the edge,
Okay.
that implies...
Carefully. I get
Yeah,
vertigo.
careful, you're going to fall down
My
there.
palm sweat involved the glass, like when we have to do the jumping puzzles.
It's
Yeah.
scary stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's everybody.
We wanted to imply a greater network. So the playable space that you're in, it has a certain extent, and then we wanted to imply far, far greater parts of this giant underground network. So we have these spaces, we have these bridges. You can bring up the Hive bridge, Scott. Again, Darren Bacon did an awesome picture of this Hive bridge, and we used this very early on. We had a playable version of this, and then obviously it ended up in some of the far-off shots. I think it's really useful to create that sense of more of an expansive underground dungeon.
Sure.
I really like it as a silhouette and as an icon. It's very Hivey.
And then back to game.
And we're going to continue along here. It's very important when we're in a very claustrophobic, deep network of interiors that we have these openings to make it feel bigger.
Yeah.
Otherwise it can be very claustrophobic continually. I'm going to walk over the black goo.
Gatehouse, as mentioned before. Uh-oh. I have a dog.
So here we're coming into the Hive upper Citadel, as we called it.
Okay. Upper Citadel, yeah.
The gatehouse, as it is an engine. Again, there's the legacy name from the overall castle theming that we had. And there's the chain.
Okay. Let's clear the area to create a peaceful setting for some better conversation. Whoa! How you doing? Good God, that guy snuck up on me.
They're all dead.
Not all.
No. Is there a guy over here?
Are we clear?
I think we
Yeah,
are.
they're done.
Area
They're
secure.
below us or above us or somewhere else.
Scott, could you please put up Hive upper Citadel over screen? Thank you. Again, Darren Bacon. He made this concept.
Darren Bacon. It's like Marsha.
He was very prolific.
Yes.
Indeed, on the moon. You'll see in this particular concept, we're trying to capture more of a technological theme.
Mm-hmm.
So each room uses the same palette. So a palette is basically a collection of geometry within the same style.
Okay.
But we have sort of sub-palettes to it. So here, we wanted this to self-consciously feel different to the other two rooms of a very similar nature. Also here, this is meant to be like a control place as well.
So if you look back in game, you know, if the wisdom room was all about sort of ethereal magic, this definitely feels a little bit more tactical, a little bit more clinical.
And spacey, I guess, would be the word as well.
Spacey.
Yep.
Okay.
So at the moment we're in the mid part of the spine of the
Okay.
Citadel. And we're going to continue climbing. See some black goo down there. You always need some black goo on the moon. Really helps.
So what's the black goo? Talk to me. This is just like manifestation of the darkness.
This is super mysterious fluid.
Super mysterious fluid.
It looks really cool.
So as a fiction guy, Steve, when you see this, hello, got thrall problems. Steve, when you see the super mysterious fluid, you know, like where does that take your imagination when you think about Crota and when you think about the time that Eris spent down here?
I think she got in a fight with the guys from Ridley Scott's new movie about aliens, and then that got left over, obviously.
Yeah.
Those are the engineers. That's their blood. Something like that.
That's cool.
Canon. That's canon, by the way.
For those of you watching, please be not confused. Steve is definitely one of the best experts on fiction from our community, but not a Bungie writer. So if he starts talking about engineers and Ridley Scott films, that's not something to update your wiki with. We're just having a little bit of fun. You'd be surprised.
So, Scott, if you can bring up Hive upper Citadel, please. Mr. Frank Capizzuto did this concept.
Okay.
So this is now the topmost room in the chain of the spine.
Yep.
Obviously it features the giant chain again. This room is one of the first that we iterated on for interiors of the moon and featured in the Moon Strike with Fogoth.
Of course, yeah.
Kill Fogoth.
And then you can see it back here in game.
So we're obviously coming in from a different direction. this particular room on the Fogoth chain obviously have the waves of different combatants, and we probably more heavily iterated on this room than any other room. It features such cool things like the little black pool of goo at the end of it where you can spawn combatants from.
Yeah, they literally just grow up out of here.
So you'll notice as well on the strike, but obviously not on this activity, there's usually the runes on the door that you have to sequentially open.
Yeah.
And you can see some banners there, some sigils of one of the Hive houses there.
Okay.
And it's obviously it's a very multi-layered room as well, so we needed to make sure that all the combat channels worked very, very well with this room. One thing you might not immediately recognise as well is there are many, many monster closets where where those guys pour out from.
Yep.
From almost any angle.
Yep.
Which when you're playing is kind of scary.
A monster closet?
Monster closets,
closet,
yep. Bungie designers love their monster closets. It's kind of like actually like a, industry convention. It's when you think about the way people design games, these doors open and all the monsters run out. If you think about the way haunted houses are laid out, there's doors that open and then dudes run out at you in costume. It's kind of the same thing with game design. That was one of the things as like somebody who came here from the Bungie community and heard designers talking about stuff. It's like, this is a great space, we can lay this out, we can put a monster closet there.
Yep.
I mean, when you start to get to know designers like Sam Jones or some of the activity designers, it does remove a certain veneer of that mystery. When you start like, you guys, you're that clinical about this stuff.
Looking behind the veil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
You pull aside the curtain. You dissect the dove because you love the dove and you want to know everything about the dove. But in so doing, you kill the dove. So thank you for joining us today, so we can kill your dove.
To speak to that as well, if you stand right in the center of the room and you look around, literally you can have an AI fired at you from virtually any angle, vertically and horizontally. So.
Yep.
That's what creates the tension in this room, and I really, really like how the design works.
Certainly.
It's really cool. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, following you.
Hello. Hi there. I'm just here.
Here you go.
So we're going to continue through what I call developmentally the upper Citadel.
Okay.
Which is obviously the gatehouse here, and this is a giant pile of bones that you can see. This is where all the Hive have gnawed and had their meals out of all the previous victims, and use it as decoration, which is pretty scary.
So whose bones are these? Are these the people that were on the moon before the collapse, or are these the people that came to fight the Hive?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Certainly,
Steve, what were your theories on whose bones these were?
Well, my video, I definitely talked about them as being the Guardians that tried to put a foothold back on the moon after it was taken away by Crota during the Great Disaster. And I sort of alluded to that it was, many of them were Guardians that were killed during that endeavor. But yeah.
Yeah. In which case I'm being very disrespectful by walking on there.
Exactly.
Yeah. In fact, so from people, seriously, please, if you play Destiny, please choose your path through the stairs carefully. All right? We would appreciate that. If you're under fire from, a bunch of wizards who come through this door in the middle of the Fogoth strike, like even if you can really just kind of float through here, because respect, right?
So if you come into this this area here, which has all the rock in it, this does a couple of things. So we are conscious of the fact that we don't want to use Hive palette in absolutely every interior 100%.
Yeah.
Because if we do that, it gets a little bit samey and repeaty.
Yeah.
And we want to change it up. So here you got the rock palette that comes in, and we call this a palette cleanser. So you're kind of like changing the palette and making it more interesting again.
Okay.
Before going back to the Hive. So also you'll notice, rather obviously, it really opens up the world. You can see the greater context. So you can see out to the Hellmouth there, you can see down to previous spaces that we explored, and you can see up to spaces that we will explore.
Okay,
So
cool, yeah.
what we're also trying to do here is create a really very self-consciously, fully realized 3D destination that is self-referential, rather than just have very closed-off pockets that don't really see into each other.
Yeah.
So it's very self-conscious. Also, it's just nice having a big view. You can see some cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
So as you're designing, if you're moving from space to space to space, do you almost, as a designer, get tired of using the same palette? Like, if I have to see this same texture one more time up on the walls, like, give me something else to throw in there, just to give the eye some variety to enjoy. That's the basic thing you're talking about, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We try and get as much variety as possible. Obviously for ourselves, but also for the folk out there playing.
Yeah.
To try and make it more interesting. Scott, can you pull up Hive Upper Citadel Rock Hall, please? Yeah. So there you go. There's Darren Bacon again. Is a rather awesome image of the rock hall there. What may be obvious from that, if you look back down to Dave, is...
Yeah. So there's the view in game.
Yeah. It really shows you very obvious cover patterning as well.
Sure, yeah.
So what we try and do in a very functional way as well with our cover, right, we would try and make it as good for gameplay as possible. And then when we art it up, we try and hide the obviousness that it's just a cover forest, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So...
Cover forest, interesting,
There you go. And then the image there that Darren did basically was a paint over of an early grey block mass out that we did. And he's attempted to make it feel more integrated and more naturalistic, as well as more interesting.
So in terms of the steps, somebody actually came in here,
Yep.
and they masked this out. They created the basic geometry and said it would be interesting if the room was like this. We need rocks and pillars for cover.
Yep.
So that as you fight your way through, I mean, even as you move through the space, you can think to yourself, okay, I can easily get through this room if I just shoot from pillar to pillar. I mean, this right here is, you know, I can easily make my way through here because there's always something to obstruct enemy gunfire. And then an artist comes in and has that, and then makes that stuff make sense.
Yeah, after the concept artist has done a pass and, you know, has like shown the visual indication of where we should go decoratively.
Okay.
Yep. So let's keep going.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Following you.
Oh yeah. You can see here as well as this window with all the filigree on it. One thing that we really consciously wanted to do as a very engine-specific thing is that we used. We wanted to capitalize on next gen as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the shadows cast from the window there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we really wanted to get the best out of our lighting engine possible.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's quite a nice detail.
Well, sort of one of the best parts of the moon, right? Is like that razor sharp lighting. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. We actually...
Amazing contrast.
Yeah, we're very lucky in the sense that the real moon itself obviously has super contrasty lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to take as much of that as possible without making it unplayable. Because obviously on the moon, if you're in the darkness, you won't be able to see anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then on the way out, you can see these sword racks over here.
Yes.
We're kind of implying here that this is, you know, the gatehouse, the part of the gatehouse where knights would grab their cleavers and hang out and protect the High Fortress from wayward intruders like ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think there are some knights up here hanging out, waiting for us. Yeah, we also, if you look at the ceiling, we've got these like scary ribs. We wanted to really sell a very scary, inhospitable place.
Sure.
As much as
Well, I
possible.
mean, you know, when you're moving through a space and there's literally hooks hanging on the wall, yeah, that's...
Yeah,
That's terrific.
like from Hellraiser or something.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's more bones. Careful of the bones.
Yes, please do not step on the bones. Ever.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
You're getting back on the bikes, huh?
yeah, we're gonna jet over to a specific
All right.
location. You guys ready?
Uh-huh. Yep, following you.
Okay. So now, obviously, we're back out on the surface of the moon, and this area is called the Hellmouth.
Yes.
In-game and retail game, as it is in development, this was always called the Hellmouth, so I'm quite pleased with the fact that that stayed true.
Yeah,
It's not
sure,
easy to
sure.
remember.
Yeah.
And this is a very, very large area. I'm going to take you to a particular view so we can start talking about some of the ideation. Obviously, the whole destination is kind of centered around the Hellmouth. And it being a circle, everything is kind of concentrically arranged horizontally and vertically.
Yep.
And we wanted to do that because that makes it simple, and simple things are much easier to remember, especially layout-wise.
Yeah.
So, Darren, if you could show Hive Gateway Thumb, please. That's great. So I'm going to come over the ridge, and a Hive Gateway Thumb shows you the where the gatehouse was. So we just left the gatehouse, and that's kind of like that base plate that interrupts the circle of the Hellmouth.
Yeah.
This is really, really important, again, so that when we have a circle, we have a point of registration that we can actually see and detect, and we can visually locate to at any point.
Okay. So if we take a look at it back in game, it's pretty easy to say that the main focus point, sort of the Hellmouth, begins and ends here.
Yep.
And then moves all the way around.
Yep. And it's also, like I said before, there's the back door that we went into previously, into the Hall of Wisdom. This was definitely one of those more like major entrances. So there's very different scale relationship between the two. And then, Scott, if you can please show Hellmouth paint over. So again, this is the rather awesome Darren Bacon. He took a very early mass out of mine and painted over it, and he came up with this really, really awesome concept that we basically almost implemented verbatim. It captures so many things. It captures the atmosphere of the Hellmouth. You can see it's super heavy, super thick. It talks about the skybox with the awesome tectonic cracking.
Yes.
It has all the color aspects to it. It sells the scale. It's got the Hive architectures. It was just super useful for us to follow direction-wise. What is also not really obvious as well is that, let's say I come into this area at the same level as the Hellmouth, I won't be able to see the circular nature of it.
No, right.
So
if you, and that's what Bungie's always been really good at, is sort of exposing new vistas. So if I come over into here, and it's like, okay, I'm playing the game for the first time, and it's, whoa, what the crap's going on?
Yep.
You know, and the more you come down here, the more it sort of reveals itself to you, sort of, you know, like pulling apart an onion.
Yep.
Yeah, that stuff's always really fun.
Yeah, we really wanted to make sure that you could see the circle itself from the high vantage point when you come in, so you get the sense of it.
Yep. It points back to what Steve was saying about sort of, you know, the game reveals itself to the player, and the player becomes the storyteller. The player discovers the story for themselves.
Watch out.
Watch out.
Oh, here we go. Public event.
Public event. You know what?
Oh my gosh.
Let's do it.
Oh, where is it? The extraction cruise. Whoa.
Oh boy.
Whoa. Blurred vision.
Where are they at?
Craziness.
Do we have them, or was that in the next bubble?
That should be...
Here, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it's coming here. You can see the
Just
catch.
hasn't landed
It's
yet.
above us.
I got nothing. Wait, oh,
There he
wait.
is. There he is.
There we
Over
go.
there. All the way over there.
Sweet jumps.
So you can see all around here the actual natural language is a little bit different to the natural terrain language that you saw in the area with the accelerator. It's more kind of based in the seismic plate shifting and cracking, and it's not soft and doughy like the moon rock and the moon train that you saw previously.
Yep.
Again, it's another contrast.
Where's the next?
Okay, we're gonna go
All the way over there. Now, this is where are they? Okay, so this is one of the cool things about your environment design here, is because this is circular in nature. We're kind of doing this, you know, ring around the rosy thing. You know,
Yeah,
even a
the
public
loops.
event. You know, and you can imagine on Cosmodrome, you would just sort of be cutting your way through the same courtyard. What is up? I completed a bounty.
Oh, well done.
Yes, thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. Look out, right behind
Yes.
you!
wait.
Ah, yeah!
There we go. 2 of 4. Still got a bunch. Did anyone want to pick up the relic? You got the relic?
Negative on the relic. I got the Thunderlord.
I grabbed it.
can see as well these large radio masts as well. When you're not too busy getting shot and killing things.
Yeah, I'm never too busy.
I did absolutely nothing with this sword. But I held it.
Almost.
I did pretty good at
Well,
holding
there
it.
you go. Sometimes just holding it is enough to scare the hell out of them.
There, got one.
Nice.
Oh, nice one. Got another.
Here we go.
Wonder if we're going to get an ascendant shard. That's what I want.
Is that what you need?
That's what I need.
You getting busy, boys. That servitor's mine.
No, I got it.
Whoa, hey, how you doing? Man, what happened to that guy? Ooh, orbs, orbs, orbs. Nice. Gimme, gimme.
Is that it? Do it?
Time's running out.
There we go.
Yes.
Now what'd you get?
Yes. Oh, ascendant energy.
Ascendant energy. Mine's gonna be waiting. Whoa! Mine's gonna be waiting for me at the postmaster.
Oh yeah, I'll get that as well. That's cool. Yeah. So
All
yeah.
right. Back on track.
Yep. You got these large radio masts there, and what they do is they signify to the player that there's another area over there. It's like a visual cue.
Okay, yeah. Come
Um,
hither, yeah.
And just over there, there's what we call the HCO Hellmouth village. So HCO, to those that don't know, is Human Colony Outpost. It's
Okay.
a palette that we have. And you can see this little village down here, and there's like these mysterious green cracks, sort of strange miasma energy.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm going to rather quickly go over here. So you're going to extract back out of the village.
Okay. We're leaving the village, Steve.
The village was really useful for us because it gave us this human element that's very, very close to the Hellmouth.
Yeah.
It gave it a kind of very precarious proximity. You know, humans and aliens together.
But not living together in perfect harmony.
Not really, no, not this time, no.
Not this time.
No, not like cats and dogs.
Nope.
Nope. And then I'm going to show you this area real quick. Scott, if you can bring up the Hive moon cracking, please. Thank you. So Darren Bacon again.
Darren Bacon?
Darren Bacon
Really?
again. Yes. So this image shows a really impressive seismic cracking language that we had. And we had to basically segue between the soft, doughy terrain language and move it into this more harsh, rugged, jagged kind of style.
Yeah.
And in here we're actually in a transition, so we're transitioning between two bespoke areas of content.
Okay.
As the engine sees it. But as the player experiences it, this is just a ride along. This is a ride along.
This is a ride along.
It's
Look
a
at
ride
that. So back in game, you can see, this isn't the nice, gently sloping vistas that you've had. A lot of this looks sort of like upheaved, kind of thrust up from the ground, all busted up and messy.
Another really cool thing was that it just allowed us to go to town and play with the sparrow and jumps
Yes,
and
yeah.
cool little
Love
moments
it.
like that.
Love it.
That's right.
Where'd you go?
I'm over here. I did that jump. Yeah, there's that big
Oh,
ramp jump.
okay.
I want to give you a sense of like almost Dukes of Hazzard. On the moon.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Right,
Okay.
following you.
Okay. So I think we've seen enough of the Hellmouth.
Okay.
As glorious as it is.
Can never get too much Hellmouth.
I've had a lot of it, strangely enough.
Yeah, you've been looking at it for years, so.
Quite a few years. But yes, I never tire of it, ever. I love it. So we're going to go through here. And then we're going to do the little shortcut.
Okay.
Little sneaky shortcut. There we go.
Is it dangerous, or do I need? Okay, no, okay.
It's fairly
I've
safe.
tried to take some of those shortcuts before and fallen short, so. And then you die, and then people laugh.
So now we're going to go into an area that we used to call the moon base, but it's called Anchor of Light.
Anchor of light.
Anchor of Light.
Okay. Oh, this is hydroponics. This is where we made our food.
That is it. Scott, can you bring up moon hydroponics?
Clear the area.
So, Dorje Belbrook,
Okay, good.
not Darren this time, he did this really awesome initial concept. So that particular concept, it shows you the A-frame modules, which are actually some of our earliest ever content. Yep, you're looking at it in-game?
You're looking at it in-game now, yep.
And they're still orange. So the colour came through and the geometry came through as well.
Yeah.
So we began with the modules and we grew out from that. So in that particular concept we just saw there wasn't just the modules, but they're little kind of huts and all other structures as well.
Yeah.
We basically took that concept and we made all of the...
Spread it out a little, yeah.
Yeah, we made all of the human colony outpost palette from it. And then if you just want to go down here and stop by the circular building and look up.
Yep.
Scott, can you bring up Moon Base, please? Thank you very much. Jesse Van Dyke, our awesome concept art lead. He did this particular picture. This kind of goes a little bit further than Dorje's. Chronologically, this happened later. What it does is it introduces a lot of colour. It shows you the atmosphere on the surface of the moon. It shows you some really nice lighting kind of an indication.
Yeah.
It also shows you very, very overtly, if you look in the bottom left of the picture, there's a nature ascendant over man, so you've got a moon hut that's just completely consumed by moon dust. That's a really cool picture, it's very inspiring. So, if you want to go back to the game, you'll see there's one of these moon huts down there. It's just...
Where'd you go?
I'm down.
I see it. Okay, I got you. I'm catching up.
No, that's okay.
All right. So these moon huts right here, yeah, and these are buried.
That's right.
There you go. Nice Nova split.
And for an artist, using the terrain system that we have, this was really useful because our terrain is very cheap for us to work with. It does a hell of a lot of automatic things for us.
Okay.
Like I'll bore you with automatic box mapping and blending, right? With the UVs.
Yeah. All right. So not procedurally generated, but definitely you have tools that make it easier for you, so you don't have to like meticulously say, then the ground slopes up over here. Like you can use good tools to kind of pop up the terrain where you want it to pop and bring it down where you need it to depress.
Yeah, we have these large brushes. So another cool thing about using regolith or moon dust in this manner is you can create these very easy ramps that give access from lower ground to higher ground, and it can be any shape you like, so it's really useful design-wise as well to give the player access very easily all around these structures. Okay.
And we never even think about these things. We never think about the fact that all I know is I can move freely through the moon. Sometimes it encourages me to have to jump, but for the most part, you can just kind of run from the high ground to the low ground, and you're not challenging me to engage the thumbs, because a lot of times I'm, actually even fighting for my life.
Yeah, we try and hide it as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
So there you can see on Dave's screen, you can see in the distance there's the dome with the brakes in it.
Yes.
And if Dave jumps on a rock and jumps up, you can actually see the accelerator as well.
Yeah, okay.
So we're trying to make the moon as self-referential as possible when you're on the surface, so you can kind of locate yourself in space.
It's like, I know where that is, I was there before.
That's right.
Wait, what?
I'm going to go around the corner. Scott, could you bring up Moonbase Final, please? So, Darren Bacon comes back.
Darren Bacon again.
Right there. He did this really, really cool concept. This does a lot of things. Again, you can see the Earth there.
Yep.
Very, very bold and stark. And this was a paint over of this structure, an early version of the structure. It shows you really strong atmosphere, really stark lighting. And it shows you some of the intent of the structure as well, so it's meant to be communications based. Yeah. It's a communications array. And we were just able to take this concept and run with it. It was really useful for us.
Cool. And then there it is in game. Not completely framed up like the concept, but you can see the Earth is very close to it.
So, if we go inside and don't get mauled on the way.
Okay.
Find one of our old friends who perished.
Oh yes, yes, one of the old astronauts.
Unfortunate gentleman. Who knows what he was doing? So yeah, this area which contains the comms tower and the modules that you just saw. The modules were meant to be more about a life habitat, right? So
Yeah.
you called out hydroponics.
Yes.
Absolutely, there were very discrete purposes for each particular building in this chain. Obviously, this one's all about communications, and you can see that those pesky fallen guys, they've come along and they've just brought their gear and they've just distributed it everywhere.
Putting
like,
their tag on everything.
That's right, like
Dirty little bastards.
like unruly teenagers.
The unruly teenagers of the galaxy.
Yeah, so Scott, if you could bring up moon modules. Thank you. By Dorje Belbrook. This is fantastically functional concept art. So there are many different types of concept art. Some are more impressionistic.
Yeah.
Some are more about showing lighting.
Yeah.
And some are more about the the basic function of the geometry.
Yeah.
And what Dorje did here was give us a blueprint for creating very specific bespoke pieces from this art.
Yeah. Definite, easily to draw parallels in the game, back in the game view.
Thank you. So, hopefully it's quite obvious from the game, but what we try to do with each palette is imbue as much reuse as possible. So they're very modular.
Yeah.
So, we take one moon hut, we copy it elsewhere, and we'll
Yeah.
change some elements to make it slightly different, but we try and economize the production of these palette pieces.
Well, and all this stuff looks very prefab. It feels like we're in sort of like a space-age trailer park here. Another interesting thing I'm noticing are these little scoring lines that you have, where it literally looks like, little like micro meteorites are sort of streaking in on the same vector. Like there was literally like a meteor shower that came out here, and I'm seeing all these scoring lines up in all the structures.
Yep.
And when I'm grinding bounties, I'm looking for bad guys. I'm not looking for all those little details.
That's right.
But all these things little kind of add up over time.
Well, actually, if you come over here, there's the impact of a very large meteorite. That's where I'm standing.
Where are you standing? Where did you
just
go?
over here, look. Can you see me?
Steve. Oh, no, there we go.
Around, there you go.
On the moon with Steve.
That's right. So, obviously on the moon as well, we wanted to make the moon's surface feel as
Oh, yeah, okay. Sure.
familiar,
Yeah.
lunar-wise,
Yep.
to people playing the game and experiencing it. So, part of the moon obviously is craters and meteorites like you're talking about. So we wanted to make that very, very obvious. So,
Yep.
just in the ground textures, you look down and there's going to be some, craters just pockmarked all
Yeah,
around.
sure, even this one landed last week.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. They're getting about these days.
They're getting about. Those meteors are really getting about. All right, I'm on you. Where are we going next?
We're going to go and see the Fallen Teleporter.
Okay.
Scott, thank you. By Darren Bacon. Again.
Darren Bacon.
There he is again.
The Prince of the Moon.
So,
where am I looking? Where are you looking?
I'm right here. Everyone cut back to game. So the Fallen Teleporter, strangely enough, teleports the Fallen.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Where does it teleport them? It would teleport them up to a ship? Okay, yeah, I see the spires here now.
I'd imagine they'd come out of a catch.
Yeah.
So this would allow them obviously to get very, very close to whatever they're scavenging at a particular point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So they use teleporters very often to make their lives a lot easier. I really like the silhouette of this teleporter. It really has this very alien-esque,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's very distinct form. And the good thing about it as well, if you look at the rest of the HCO palette versus that,
Mm-hmm.
it's distinctly different, and it's important to have palettes that have that
Sure, sure.
contrast and difference.
So the human architecture, even if it's, Chinese, very utilitarian,
Yeah,
very right angles and straight lines, and then like just about everything the Fallen do. It's got these nice round sinuous lines.
and they have a very distinctive surface
Yep.
material type as well.
Yep, even their vehicles are badass. Even when they're covered up.
So, we're going to keep going on here.
Right, I'm with you.
Okay. I'm going to show you a little area of the moon base, and then we'll split. So, if you come down here, Scott, if you can bring up rocket palette, please. A sub palette of the human colony outpost palette is rocket palette. Strange enough, the rocketry.
Yeah.
We wanted to obviously create different areas within the moon-based system, so we wanted to show some really cool, very self-consciously space-agey components. So what better than rockets themselves? So it's like a rocket graveyard.
Yeah, and here they are in game. These are great places for snipers to hang out.
And it's great to fight this spider tank here as well.
Yeah, indeed.
And then Scott, if you can real quick bring up the moon lighting, Jay Van Dyke. So Jesse Van Dyke, he saw an early version of this, and you know, on his own spare time, he decided to make a concept about how it should be lit, and that is the end result of that. When I saw this, I was really enthused about it.
Yeah.
It had some great qualities, like, you know, really strong contrast, very heavy coloration, super heavy atmosphere, and it was very informative for how we lit the rest of the surface. So this is a...
You were talking before, if you look in game now, you were talking about the basic color palette is blue, not just stark white, but some blue, but then you also get these nice yellow spot beams where the floodlights are lit.
Yeah, and you get these little gear lights as well from the Fallen. As well, these little orange kind of like sticks, light sticks that they place everywhere. Very useful for us to be able to, you know, light interiors very quickly.
So these sticks, if these sticks are here, it's evidence of the coming and going of the Fallen.
That's right.
This is not us. These are the bad guys.
They got little spikes.
So they can light their graffiti.
You have to see it.
Because they love their graffiti,
You can't make it and then not show it, can
Respect the tag, is what the Fallen say. Don't disrespect my tag.
Okay, let's go along to the next space. Cool, look, we have another guy in here with us.
Always another guy. It's a living social world, Sam.
Shafter 12. That's a cool name, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm always fascinated by somebody who has a unfortunate gamer tag. I always picture them at a family party and their cousin says, "Oh, you play Destiny 2? What's your gamer tag?" And they say their gamer tag just as 3 other conversations end, and all the relatives look at them and go,
"Yeah,
we need to talk about how you're spending your time."
So we're coming along from the moon base, or the Anchor of Lights, and we're going to go through to a space that we called Launch Tubes in Development, and I think it's called the Temple of Crota.
We are indeed here at the Temple of Crota.
So,
bad guys.
Pretty cool. Scott, if you want to put up Hive Thrall Pod. Thank you. Darren Bacon did this one.
Did he really?
He did that one. He did it very well.
Spoiler.
Spoilers. This is very self-consciously the giant main gate of the Hive Fortress. Okay. There's announcement of the Hive presence on the surface. It's very much about, here's the dungeon.
Yep.
Come down into the dungeon.
It doesn't look like a nice place. It looks like we're entering a jail, quite literally.
And if you look up as well above the wall, you can see there's these lit... Dave, you want to back up a little bit? You can see these lit kind of giant holes or tubes.
Yeah.
And then there's these kind of the spires of the thrall pods there.
Oh, sure, yeah. So that's what you would see sticking up from the ground in Cosmodrome.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And actually, we're going to go down within one of those, so you get a little foreshadowing of that structure.
So this is like a nuclear missile silo almost,
absolutely,
yeah?
Absolutely, yeah, but the Hive version of that.
Yeah, clearly. You heard it here first. The Hive have nukes. Run for your lives.
So we're going to go through into the Temple of Crota here. And actually, Scott, could you bring up Hive Pod lineup, please? Thank you. So Steve Chon is a different guy, not Darren Bacon, the different people, but he did this really cool concept with an exploration of the different possibilities for the Hive thrall pods. So the point of these vehicles was that the Hive get in them, in this case, thrall, but they could be any.
Yeah.
And they get shot on the surface of the moon, and they land on Cosmo in whatever status, crashed or whatever. And then
let's see how that measures up in game. So we come into this room here.
And they pop out and attack. But that was a really cool exploration of the different ideas for those. And we wanted to make them look as menacing as possible. So they're very spiky and barbed, dark and evil. Come down here. So
hang on, this guy needs killing.
Oh, he's still hanging out.
Happy to help him.
Nice.
He needed killing.
Scott, if you can bring up the launch tubes, please. Thank you. Darren Bacon again.
Darren Bacon.
Darren Bacon. He's everywhere. an absolutely amazing concept piece. I love this when he first did it. It's so atmospheric.
Yeah.
And really incredible contrasty lighting. And if you cut back to game, and you can see it on Dave's screen, it kind of actually does sell the theme of a space vehicle quite well.
Yeah, it really does.
And you can see the shader on the vehicles different to the architecture of the environment. It's got this billowing kind of smoke whirling around it. It's really atmospheric, like it's on the point of shooting off into space.
Yeah, like it's being fueled right this minute. So when we're in Skywatch and Cosmodrome, this is what's down over in the corner. You can go down in there, and
that's right. We try to create these really self-conscious connections between the destinations, and this is definitely one of them.
Sort of cause and effect, sure.
That's right.
Oh no!
Kind of slammed.
Oh really? Really? Wow.
Oh, look at that! I'm back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
So another kind of large design conundrum that we had for the moon from the earliest of days, because
for those of you watching at home, conundrum is a fancy word for something that confuses you. They know what a conundrum is. I'm just being a jerk.
Because we designed the whole destination around a hole.
Yes.
That goes down.
Yep. Big donut.
We made a very vertical destination.
Yeah.
And the problem in a video game with a lot of verticality is that you can either be looking at the floor, or basically concerned with vertical transit as opposed to playing the game and shooting guys, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to be very careful about the amount of verticality you introduce in an overall design. So I don't know whether it's obvious from playing this, but we actually drop a hell of a lot of elevation in this particular area. So the whole circular kind of spiral downward.
Yeah, sure.
Is all about dropping elevation.
Well, I think that's the feel that you get from any time you play on the moon. Is you always feel like this sort of descent down into madness. Yeah. This that sounds really bad.
I know that
scary.
sound.
I know that sound.
Oh dear.
There's always sort of this this corkscrew that you're following, and the lower you go, the worse things are going to get.
Yeah. I think we've hidden the elevation drop fairly successfully though, because you really you see the combatants and you see the vehicles, and it's all about that, not just I'm going down, down, down. But
yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, well, and it's fun. It's fun to run down the stairs, you know. And
absolutely.
So you don't want to hide it too much, because the whole feeling of, you're literally taking the steps down into hell. We did a raid along with raid designer Gavin Irby, and he was talking about the fact that he wanted Crota's End to feel like zombie survival horror. So again, the notion of a monster closet. Hello. The Crota's End being the ultimate monster closet. You get to the bottom and you're in the dark, and they don't even need a closet. They're just coming at you from every direction. At that point, you're in the monster closet.
Okay, so we're gonna keep going. I think also what hopefully is also obvious from the destination layout and what we're showing today is that we're trying to create these very, very distinct areas in and of themselves throughout the moon. So when you play it, you get some really strong, you create a strong mental map as you're playing it, so you get to know it and you can hopefully, self-navigate to a large degree. Oh, scary, scary.
Crota, the ritual.
So again, this is another area where we opened it up. We tried to make everything feel a bit more expansive.
Sure, like Niagara Falls.
And we're going to go down into a room which in game is called the World's Grave, I believe. That's absolutely, yes it is.
The World's Grave.
The World's
we have
Grave.
Arrived.
There you go.
Not ours.
Hopefully not. Scott, do you want to show strength a bit? Thanks. Dorje Belbrook.
Dorje Belbrook.
He did this.
We're going to need that bubble. We're going to need that bubble.
Kill these guys or talk about that.
I'm standing in the bubble. You can kill any guys you want. Those little beasties flying around, you can count me out.
So, Dave, if you can stand in the doorway or something, and I'll look at you, or you can look at me in the doorway.
All right, here we go. I'm in the doorway.
and then look at me in the doorway.
Look at you in the doorway.
There I am in the doorway, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm kind of small, right?
Yeah.
The scale of Hive architecture is really large. Oh,
Hey.
you guys, what are you doing?
You're the one that's standing
No,
next
no.
to the cursed thrall. I didn't ask you to stand next to them.
Sneaky.
Sneaky bastards. So,
Um,
so you build environments that dwarf the player. Is that
yes,
the idea?
Yeah, so the Hive palette is meant to be, alien. So
Yeah.
it has kind of a different scale system to what human palettes do. And that's really good, and that's absolutely what we want to capture. But at the same time, what that means is it's kind of difficult for people to get a sense of overall scale and how big it is and what things look like in the distance. So you have to make these very self-conscious elements which are smaller,
Yeah.
we sprinkle about to give scale cues. So you can get a sense of, oh, it's that big versus whatever that object is. So that's why if you come over here in these piles of barnacles, you've got these little urns.
Yep.
You got the bones themselves. You got these tiles which are broken off.
Yeah.
All these little scale cues and details
Sure.
which kind of sell scale.
Well, and the ultimate scale cue is ourselves, like you just said. Because I know how large a human body would be, and when you say this doorway was obviously not made for me. This is obviously an ogre door, and when you see a door hang on. When you see a door that is that big, you're obviously sort of inclined to think something's going to walk through there, right? So it just kind of creates that foreboding.
That's right. And then, Dave, if you look towards the centre there,
Yeah.
up where I'm looking, I'm just looking up there.
Yep.
You can see the indication of the exterior shell of the Colosseum.
Okay.
So we're going to go inside that, and again, this area was called Strength previously,
Yeah.
and this is the home of the knights and the gladiatorial combat.
I've seen old architectural shots of the Roman Colosseum, and the crumbling windows, and
Yeah.
I actually never made that connection. That's actually pretty cool. I mean, that looks like the Roman Colosseum.
That was the intent, and then again, on the moon we wanted to create all of these contrasts. So the Strength Colosseum is very much contrast to Wisdom and the Wise and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, Wisdom was a very pretty place. This is sort of a brutal,
full of thrall.
yep, full of thrall.
Yes,
Full of cursed thrall.
lots of them.
I'm loving my Firefly perk at this point. Oh, you got that bubble again? Here they come. Here we go. Get in the bubble.
I'm in there.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Nope. Not today. Not today.
Blessing of light.
Are we safe?
No. There's still more. Oh, right there. Right there. Some scary sounds that they're making there.
Yeah, the Hive audio design. Funny enough, like when we interviewed Morla, who is the actress who voiced Eris Morn, Morla Grandona actually did the voice of Eris, but she also did the voice of a lot of the Hive, a lot of the screaming wizards, and a lot of the shrieking, and even some of the vocal effects that were applied to their weapons to make them sound like they're sort of shrieking at you as the rounds go by. So if you're in a battle with the Hive while Morla's narrating, you're basically hearing her voice 4 or 5 different ways.
Yeah. She is the Hive.
She is the Hive, she is the enemy of the Hive, she is the weapons of the Hive. Here we go, here come the little bad guys.
Oh, in the back.
Angry minnows! You fool, get in the bubble! Are we good? Are we? No, we are not good. Not good. Oh. No. Yeah.
They're blind. They're blind. Back up.
Thank God you're here.
Whoa. It's too many of them.
I could have shot them while they were right there in front of you guys and definitely killed them. I'm just saying.
Payback's hell, huh?
So here you are. This is the Colosseum.
Okay.
Scott, if you want to bring up Strength, please. So this is a really cool concept by Dorje Bobrook. And
Dorje, okay.
captures the feeling of the Colosseum.
Yeah.
You'll notice in that particular concept there's the cleaved rock. There isn't in the actual game.
Yeah.
The cleaved rock is used elsewhere.
Okay.
But you can see the giant support pillars, you can see the circular nature of the room, you can see the...
Sure, that's right here in the game now.
That's right, and the glowing sigils on the floor. And again, this is about, you know, having a circular arena for combat, obviously. This is talking about the context of the Colosseum.
Yeah.
You can also see there's very self-consciously placed sword racks throughout here as well,
Yes.
reinforcing the theme of the knights. And then obviously in one of the activities here we have the large kind of floating dark object of, you know, whatever nature that is.
Yes.
This is where the wizards are feeding on the piece of the traveler, right?
That's the one.
In that one story mission.
Yep.
Those bad guys are always doing bad stuff.
Bad guys are doing bad things.
Doing bad stuff.
That's why we call them bad guys.
So here we are. We are going to get our flashlights out
Okay.
very briefly. We're going to go through these Hive hallways. Scott, if you can bring up Hive hallway exploration. So Dorje Belbrook, that mad genius, he came up with the kind of archetypal hallway language for the Hive.
Okay.
Which has that kind of inflated kind of trapezoidal shape, so it's smaller at the bottom and wider at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see in the concept there's those offset pillars, there's the kind of very sort of medieval lighting system in it. You can see some barnacles, and you can see all the hallmarks of the Hive aesthetic, which we can see in game. You know, there's the barnacles on the floor, there's the kind of fluted doorways, and even in just their very, very simple architectural language, we want to kind of make it feel alien.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly alien. And the spaces like these help you transition from one bubble to another, too, right? This is a great way to kind of stitch the game together,
Yep.
but also tell the story.
It's very functional
Yeah.
as well. So we're going to keep going along here. And now I believe we're in Chamber of the Night. And there's a nice glowing green bad guy sigil on the floor.
Oh my, yep, indeed.
There's a few there. You can see on the ground there's a lot of water, a lot of liquid
Yeah, yeah.
reflecting. Again, you know, very self-consciously we wanted to get as much out of the engine as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And using reflections in water is a really good way of showing off our, you know, the strength of our tech.
Yeah.
It also looks really cool as well.
Looking cool is really what we're here to do, right?
That's
I mean,
how
technology for the sake of technology is pretty boring, but if you can do something cool with it, that's really where...
Yeah.
That's where software becomes entertainment.
you can see that really stark light as well up there.
Yep.
It casts these really long shadows as well. There's like a moving dynamic shadows you can see.
Mm-hmm.
We try to be really self-conscious about that as well, to show off the power of the engine and also create these really unique moments, and it's also scary
Sure,
as well.
sure. Well, you guys have been craving new toys for a while, so being able to go back to the drawing board, you know, and build from the ground up a brand new game engine, it's pretty obvious to see that, you know, you guys were having a lot of fun with the new tools.
They're waking
It always
his
feels
soul.
nice when you get new toys.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's why everyone loves Zur, or hates him.
And the Cryptarch.
And the Cryptarch. Oh god, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it's amazing how much personality. I mean, those guys in the tower, well... Cryptarch and Zur have sort of been in a competition trying to one-up each other for being one of the most celebrated heroes or villains in this game.
Yeah, they're quite infamous at this point.
Yeah, both of them. Although probably Zur these days more than the Cryptarch. But man, once
Yeah,
upon a time,
definitely.
that Cryptarch was publicly
Back
enemy
in the
number
olden
one.
days.
Yeah, when I started playing Destiny, the Cryptarch was a real bastard. You ever seen purple turn into blue? Didn't think so, Christmas noob.
So you can see one of these cleaved rocks. That was originally in the center.
Oh, yes,
of
okay.
strength.
Yeah, yeah.
We moved it here.
So what cleaved this rock? You got the, the external face of the rock, and then you can see something cut right through it here.
That's right.
And literally cauterized it.
So we originally proposed it would be a giant knight that came along with this giant, like, super sharp sword and chopped it in half.
Sure.
And created a really nice shader for us as well.
Yeah.
That we could show off some cool tech with.
Certainly did. That's cool. And who made this shader?
Never noticed that.
I imagine Daniel Tiger had his hand in it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like almost laser cut, but in a way that melted it. It's like a geode.
That's really nice. So I should say that I was the original destination owner for the moon.
Okay.
But several other really useful folk also took over and had a great part in creating this destination.
Okay.
I want to call out to Noah Thompson.
Noah Thompson.
Who was a powerhouse on the moon.
Yeah.
And then we got Daniel Tiger as well. He did a hell of a lot of work on the moon.
Daniel T-H-I, not
right.
Daniel Tiger, but Daniel Tiger.
Still a fierce animal, though.
Yeah, still very feline in nature, too, right?
Yes.
Anyone else you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, the whole studio.
The whole
studio.
Pit and parcel.
Did an amazing job.
We can never share enough of the credit. All of these things come together because of a large group of people. From the people that do the art, to the people that build the tools, to the people that use them to actually build these spaces.
That's right.
So it's fun to have a guy like Sam Jones to talk about his process, but be mindful of the fact that there are dozens, if not hundreds, of people backing him up and making this stuff work. So
I'm simply a voice. A messenger for other people.
Well, I believe you're a lot more valuable to us than a messenger. That's why you don't sit next to me.
Whoa.
So, if you are no longer, you said you were the destination owner for the moon. What are you up to now?
I'm in charge of all the world art, so I see many projects and I work on many projects.
Yeah. Okay.
I enjoy that greatly and talk to a lot of people.
Okay.
Have a lot of fun with a lot of people.
So you're working on new areas. We don't want to name them or reveal anything, but you're working on new areas that we have yet to see in this game.
That is probably a truism.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Someday you will explore new spaces that Sam and his team are working on right now, and perhaps someday after that day, we'll return to them and we'll have a similar walkthrough just like this.
Okay, I want to show one final image, Scott, which is Hive Selection by Ryan Demeter.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably one of my favorite concepts in all of Destiny. I just love it.
Okay.
It's super mysterious, it's very contrasty. It's very magical, and it's totally abstract. And it says a lot of things without answering anything at all. I love it. It's just kind of encapsulates Destiny largely as well.
Yeah.
You've got the giant worm bones. If you're looking in game, where did they come from?
Where, you know what?
What?
Yeah.
What do they mean?
This room is always such a tense place. I never actually thought about what animal came in down here and died, and what animal was it, and how did it get here, and what happened to it. But again, it certainly adds to the mood.
I thought it was like Kara, those extinct dragon things.
Yeah.
Something.
Something bad came in here and killed us.
There. And died.
Cool.
According to my deep lore knowledge.
It's very scientific, eh? What else are we looking at today, Sam? Is this the end of the road?
I think this is pretty much the end of the road, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, rather than try to speak over all this heart-pounding action, I'm going to take us back to orbit.
That's a good idea.
You're coming with us, yeah, Steve?
Yeah.
I hope. Let's hope. And, of course, that brings us back into orbit for sort of the beauty shot for the planet. Obviously, that's our moon. Pockmarked surface, the sun close by in the background. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure.
For opening up.
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
This, vault of concept art. Thank you so much for coming along on the ride, Steve. Been good to have your
Thanks,
cover
Steve.
fire and your insight and your chatter.
I love coming. I wish I could have chimed in more, but I was honestly just enthralled in what you're saying. I love this stuff, so.
I have to agree, as somebody who played a lot of Bungie games before I worked here, one of the most fascinating things is to be able to kind of peel apart this creative process and see how an idea comes together, how that idea is first given, sort of structure and form, and then how it actually becomes a place we can run around in the game. So I know the people, who watch these things, and we'll upload it to YouTube. So if they weren't able to tune in right now, they can go see it later. But people are really enjoying these. So if you've been watching in chat, I am very sorry that we haven't been able to answer more of your questions. We'll get back to doing that a little bit more the next time we're up for a Bungie bounty. So tune in for the next announcements on those. I need to get back in touch with those triple wreck people, get the wreck nation out here and see who can wreck them. But we'll be back up next week with more Bungie bounties. I believe we have covered every destination at this point.
Yes,
from the launch title.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to, I don't know, maybe get the gun team, or maybe get some of the combatant
Someone
teams
else
in here. But there's plenty of things to enjoy in the game, plenty of artists that we can get to talk about their creative process. We'll keep having fun in this room. It's great to be up on Twitch and to share a game with you. Thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. And we'll be back.
Thank you. Thanks for coming along.
See you in the tower.
Bye.
This has been world artist Sam Jones and TerraMantis. I'm Deej from Bungie, and we're signing off. Before we do that, who should we throw our audience at? We are going to do a Bungie raid. That is when whoever's watching our stream channel right now is going to go and invade another streamer who is playing Destiny. So we're going to put a link up on the screen. It's going to be Scott's choice. Go ahead and click that link. Go and, give this audience to that person. The first words you should post in chat is Bungie raid. So on our mark, go ahead and click the link, and we are going to be out. Have a great weekend. Pay attention to the Bungie blog, because we'll be back with some more shows and some more adventures for you to share.